Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide actors are addressing a controversy they inadvertently generated earlier this week. Former Nickelodeon stars Devin Werkheiser, Lindsay Shaw, and Daniel Curtis Lee discussed Quiet on Set, the dark side of kids' TV in a new episode of their podcast Ned's Declassified Podcast Survival Guide, and acknowledged their previous faux pas on TikTok that led to criticism from Drake Bell. We were on a TikTok live being asked to comment on the Quiet on Set documentary, which we hadn't seen, Werkheiser explained. A Super S joke came out that was referenced at Daniel and looked like I was talking about Drake, and it all overlaps. We F'd up, I get it. We hadn't seen the doc, and everyone was asking for our opinions on it. There's a before watching this documentary, and there's an after, Werkheiser later said. We were in the before while the audience was in the after, and that joke is F'd up now. The Investigation Discovery docuseries, which premiered March 17th, addressed claims of a toxic work environment and abuse at the network during the reign of hit producer Dan Schneider in the 1990s to 2010s. It also featured fellow Nickelodeon child star Bell, detailing the extensive sexual abuse he endured in his teens by network dialogue coach Brian Peck, who was later convicted of child molestation. In the highly scrutinized TikTok, Werkheiser said, "Daniel, we told you never to speak about that. Get back in your hole, Daniel, and give me your holes," joking to Lee off-screen. "Sorry, we shouldn't joke about this. We really shouldn't. Our set was not like that. No, it's F-ing awful." The Drake Bell S, "That's crazy to hear. That is F-ed. And that never came out, which is really wild. Really wild." Bell responded to their video on social media, writing, "Ned's declassless. This is wild. Laugh it up, guys. Laugh it up. Give me your H***less." Really? During Friday's podcast episode, Werkheiser said after watching Quiet on Set, he understands the criticism he and his co-stars faced for the video. "I get it," he said. "Now having seen the documentary, it's so disturbing. Now we've watched it, and I get it. If I had just watched especially that third episode and then watched us joking like that, I would be like, are they sociopaths? Is something wrong with them?" "You were talking to me while I was working," Lee said. "I'm sitting there at the desk, working on audio, super multitasking, and that statement was directed to me in the extreme way that we disparage each other. My constituents were just completely upset, and they want it clear that we were not referring to that. Even considering touching that topic or speaking on it at all now in the mindset we were in is so irresponsible," Shaw added. "I hate that this happened. I hate that we compounded any trauma around this situation that means so much to each of us, and I am sorry." Werkheiser said that he's never commented on Schneider, the primary subject of Quiet on Set, because they didn't work together. "I never have because we didn't work with him," he explained. "We experienced it still in a safe enough environment. It wasn't scary to talk to Scott Fellows, Ned's Declassified's creator. We had the normal pressure that a kid actor has, but knowing this is what our F-ing people were going through on other sets is F-ed." The Ned's gang did, however, briefly work with Peck, Bell's abuser, as he was present for the filming of the show's pilot episode. "I remember seeing however many months later my mom reading a newspaper and I saw his face, and it said a child acting coach convicted of child molestation, and I remember pointing it out to my mom going, 'Mom, he was on the F-ing pilot,'" Werkheiser recalled. "That's how close we were. But then we steered into this other experience. We've been screwed over by the business in ways, but what was revealed in that docuseries, this is an urgent matter, like something needs to happen," Lee added. "We've talked about the money woes associated with it, but it's like, geez, it's even a luxury to have that to complain about when there are these really, really awful things that money cannot even bring back. It's crushing." Later in the video, Werkheiser recalled fond memories with Bell and reiterated his shame about the TikTok incident. "He came to our pilot wrap party, and I remember him kind of big-broing me in a cool way, like putting me under his shoulder, like, 'Welcome to the network' and stuff. This was at that time of the abuse," he said. "I don't know how to process most of this. When I saw our little F-ing TikTok clip and that Drake had retweeted it, I was just watching his interview, and someone sent me that he had retweeted it. And then I saw the clip and I put out a F-ing apology immediately. I felt like a piece of S," he explained. "I know it looks like I'm laughing at this and I F-ing wasn't, but I know what it looks like. I just felt so FING awful knowing Drake saw it in that context.